because everybody down the line is corrupt. They are running a government of individuals rather than a government of the people. And then somebody comes along later in the day, some consultant will say, oh, I've noticed money is missing here. Those consultants, they are not patriots. What they are looking for is their own cut from the money. So these are the issues that we have to think about in terms of accountability. So I do not take what is reported in the papers on its face value. I raised the question about accountability. And that same question is about rivers. Ibokete Ibas, Vice Admiral, is saying nobody can probe him. Look, I respect military officers because they are usually well trained, like Catholic priests. They send them to school. They train them. They give them exposure. An ordinary military officer of Nigeria is a well-educated man at the officer level. So what is Ibokete Ibas saying? He's saying he's accountable only to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's a very ignorant, unintelligent, uneducated thing to say. I believe he must be intelligent enough to know that when you manage a process in Nigeria, you can be called upon to account. So his argument that the House of Assembly of Rivers State cannot question him is illiterate, and he must be so informed in case he doesn't watch television. What the House of Assembly of Rivers State has said is that, look, yes, within the purview of the Constitution, the National Assembly can make laws, but they don't have evidence that the over 400 billion that was spent within 6 months, that the National Assembly had oversight. That money belongs to the people of Rivers State. Ibokete Ibas must give account. He cannot say that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave him mandate. He cannot give him mandate to spend money anyhow. Even President Tinubu does not have that right under the Nigerian Constitution. Section 305, the way President Tinubu went about it, having been declared illegal, unconstitutional, and unjustified. So who is Ibokete Ibas to come and say nobody can ask him questions? The people of Rivers State, they have the right to ask questions about how their money was spent. And he must be prepared to give proper account. So Martina Amewule, and his colleagues in the House of Assembly, they are representatives of the people of Rivers. And the people of Rivers State cannot have an illegal situation in which somebody came around, spent 6 months, and he will come around and say, I don't need to give account to you. I have fulfilled the mandate that President Tinubu gave me. No, President Tinubu does not determine the nature of Nigerian democracy. That's why it's called the government of the people, and the representatives of the people should stand up and ask questions. If they fail at the level of the National Assembly, we should encourage the people in Rivers State to ask questions. That, in my view, is the issue.
Absolutely. Because that's the core of our conversation today. Africa's biggest creditors are the IMF, the World Bank, China, private bond markets. How do their terms differ? And do we take into consideration some of these terms, or we just borrow because we need the money?
I think some countries just borrow, like your country. Nigeria just borrows because it just needs the money. Mr. Tinubu wants to walk with those, fly in a big plane and go to Brazil. He has never planned. This is a guy in Africa with a population of 250 million people. His Excellency Tinubu should sit down and get a program for Nigeria. Should be the leading house for Africa. My sister, Nigeria should be the leading house. The Nigeria population, 250 million people, would be buying Uganda's sugar, would be buying Uganda's beans. Useless people walking around, photos. Most of what African leaders like are photographs. If you ask Mr. Tinubu, you are going to borrow for what? In these 4 years, what is done? What has been done on ecosystems in Nigeria? He should have borrowed money to build a dam, another dam. Nigeria has 241 dams. You have never built a dam apart from the ones that the colonial master helped you to build. Which one have you built? And you carry generators. Are you not ashamed, you people? You carry generators from Dubai. All planes going to Nigeria, even including Tinubu's plane, must be carrying generators. Why do you shame yourselves? A country that should lead Africa. China has much of the world because of the population. 2 million people, 2 billion people consume materials what they produce. Nigerians, most of the material they produce, they don't have even industries. They look for it in Dubai, in China. People will die on the aircraft in China bringing material. But African leaders, much of them, because of the population. Why don't you produce your material and supply to Africa?
I want you to pay attention. Listen to this video to the end. You see this one? Listen to the video to the end. And Dr. Abati. You see, Nigeria is just a joke. That's why, like Abati said, that the Ibas, the former sole administrator, will open his mouth and say he's not accountable to anybody except president who appointed him that the seat, I mean the state, River State, where you serve your 6-month emergency rule, that the assembly do not have any right they don't have any right to summon you or to question you or for you to account for how you spend the money. We're talking about billions of naira. You know, I've said it before now. This one, what you say, it only gives opportunity to him to go and make money. He's a retired person now. So the money, after all, now they do this, you know. It's no opportunity for him. If I wish every Nigerians we had this kind of opportunity. I see. And he said it. Nothing is going to happen. After all, president appoint him. So Wike and president appoint him. So they can't do nothing. If Wike and Tinubu can make the Supreme Court keep quiet in this country, ZEBAS, the assembly will not know for what. That one too small now. No, give it to them. Anyways, just watch the video. We'll come back and talk about it. See, this one talking about Africa. We say something about it. But don't forget, like, share, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so that you get to see updates like this next time. Be your guy. Run on for me now, please.
Some sort of sanity would be returned to River State. It looks like there's something new brewing, and rightfully so.
With respect, I don't think there's anything brewing in River State. I think the shenanigan is just continuing. The other day, when the lawmakers said they were going to probe what was happening in River State, I knew it was a joke, it was a ruse, there was nothing there. They just wanted to act in such a way so that people would say, they're doing something. They cannot probe IBAS. It happened under a state of emergency, which was an aberration as orchestrated by President Tinubu. And now Nyesom Wike has also said, okay, it was part of the plot, because his words, not mine. He said that if we wanted the state of emergency to continue, I would have made it continue. So we all know the aberration. And that monies went under the drain, that they will couch it under emergency rule, and they can say it's for emergency expenditure. So it's all part of the joke we see in this country. I'm sorry, the state of emergency, when you look at it, it also benefited the same national State House of Assembly that said they want to probe somebody, because it was in favor of their faction, really, when you look at it. So there's nothing there. It's all part of the charade. You see, there are many smoke screens in Nigeria. People talk on the face of newspaper outlets or television and the likes, and say all sorts just to be able to get Nigerians excited. I'm sure the lawmakers probably heard the zeitgeist from people that say we must probe the, Ebokete Abbas administration, and they said, okay, let's just repeat that in the State House of Assembly to make people feel good. And they've repeated it now. Nothing is going to come out of it. It's part of the joke that happens in Nigeria. But I think the formative thing that is very sad about River State is that such an aberration occurred, and the Supreme Court didn't deem it fit to hear it. People over the weekend have spoken up about it. I think the latest reaction is that of Chidi Odekalu. That was also berating the Supreme Court, like we've called them out. The fact that things like this happen, in fact, even Femi Falana berated them over the weekend. That's such an important matter of national importance. The president declared a state of emergency at a time when, visible to our eyes, we didn't see any security threat, which we knew was to settle scores, which a certain minister was beating his chest after the declaration of the state of emergency that he won in this political impasse. And the Supreme Court could not hear the case. But the same Supreme Court was quick to hear, in about a little over 2 months, the case of that same River State as it pertains to the local government elections, and they quickly gave a determination on it when it was in favor of a particular political side. So that's the sad part of the country, and we will never stop talking about that, because you see, it will be said that we spoke up for our democracy, and we said it the way it had to be said. That's the part I will always say. We don't care whose ox is hard. We don't care who's not going to feel happy we saying this. It has to be said because it's the truth, and the truth is always hard. Secondly, as regards remittances, it's not today we've been talking about NNPC and remittances and all of that. If they say it dates back to 2011, there's been a lot of talk. But the question is, have we been able to forensically audit the accounts before we cry foul? Because we all remember how some people cried that there was some money not remitted by the NNPC over 20 billion. Then on forensic audit, the money kept on reducing. Now we've gotten to a point where they're saying there's a 2 trillion naira somewhere on over 40 billion. The NNPC too should come forward and let's all reconcile the books so we see where the dead bodies are buried and if there are no dead bodies buried, so that we can reconcile the account. And I think it's after the point in time like this, I yield the floor.
Okay, the main issue that we're dealing with this morning is about accountability. Accountability is very important in governance process. It is also at the heart of the democratic process. Where there is no accountability, then you do not have a government of representatives. What you have is a government of individuals pursuing their personal interests. Let us start with NNPC. Now, in the case of the NNPC, there has been a long issue about opaqueness of NNPC accounts. There have been issues about state governors saying what they get from FAC is not what they should get. Now, FAC then decided to set up. That FAC is the Federal Allocation Committee of Revenue within the collectible pot under Section 162 of the 1999 Constitution. So they now set up a subcommittee to say, okay, what is missing? as NNPC been faithful in terms of remittances? Because the governors are saying, no, NNPC has not been remitting funds. It's simply about accountability. Now, the second part of it is what they call allocations. Something allocation, which is about frontier funds. There's something called frontier funds. Exploration funds, rather, exploration funds, with regard to frontier exploration. Dahomey Basin, Benue Trough, Gongola Basin, Chad Basin. Now, NNPC has consistently said, under the PIA, Petroleum Industry Act, they can retain some funds to pursue exploration. So I think that the government has a responsibility to ask questions about accountability. Okay, these frontier funds, these exploration funds, what did you do? What did you do in Benue Trough? What did you do in Chad Basin? What did you do in Dahomey Basin? What did you do in the Gongola Basin? How much was spent? Everybody had always said, oh, pick nice about, how NNPC Limited, which is a growing concern, disburses money. That money does not belong to the Ministry of Finance. It does not belong to the federal government of Nigeria. It belongs to the people of Nigeria. Where was the National Assembly? The National Assembly slept on its rights. However, to summarize the issue about FAC allocation and exploration funds. Now, we have a very strange situation in Nigeria, whereby institutions of state do not function. Whether it's the National Assembly, or it's the Office of the Accountant General, or the Office of the Auditor General. These are some of the departments of state that should be finger-pointed. Now they will go and look for consultants, some imbeciles, I use that word advisedly, who say they are consultants. They are the ones who will say, oh, they are looking for where government money is missing, revenue is missing. We are torchlighting government revenue. In serious-minded countries where institutions function, the Office of the Attorney General will function. The Office of the Accountant General will function. The National Assembly will function. They will be the ones who will monitor the process. But we don't monitor any process here.
You listen to this video. Yeah. Anyways, for the Ibas who says he's not accountable to anybody except the president, don't forget about that. Just forget about the issues of corruption, money laundering, wasteful in government. Your 6 months, you waste everything. How did you spend the money? That one is just the nonsense talk. You forget about it. He said it, and that is it. And Tinubu is the only one that Tinubu cannot question him. Tinubu and Wiki cannot question him. So it is not it is not you who elected him, who appointed him, who elected. So. And they know they have used him to achieve their aims. So you are not expecting them to question him again. They should be thanking the man for complying. If it is somebody who has shame, he wouldn't have been allowed. He wouldn't have been allowed himself to be used to declare a state of emergency. I mean, to emergency rule in Rivers State. You know it fully well that with the level of your this thing, you should know. But because people do not have integrity, they don't care. It's just the mass money is involved. So now he has opportunity. The money he has not made in his life, he has opportunity to move the money. So what do you think? Just children are rejoicing, happy. That well done. You did very well. That's it. So reverse the money. Anyways, let's just forget about that. You see the other video. Some people will be thinking that this man is insulting us. Don't feel offended. Don't feel insulted. Or by the way he presented the video, by the tone of his language. That is the truth. You will agree with him. That is the truth. So Tinubu is borrowing money for no reason. And it's the problem we are facing today. So he said it, and that is the truth. And saying if that is the truth, remember, let me tell you this in case you don't know. In Nigeria or in Africa, we are the giant of Africa. But when it comes to development, we are not giant. Remember, know this. And this is why you see every country are not laughing at us. They are not mocking us. They are making jest of us. Especially this present government amidst a lot of Africa countries or even in the whole world. Look us less. They are taking us for granted simply because our leaders has failed. I've said it before. The day Nigeria get it right, every Africa countries they'll start getting it right. Because Nigeria is a problem to some of these countries. Because your brother, if in your family, or not even in your family, say outside your family, there are a lot of people that their blessings attached to you. The day you make it for yourself, the day you get it right, other people are going to get it right because they are going to benefit from you. They are just waiting for you to get it right. Even they are praying for yourself. The day you get it right, definitely the blessing is going to be extended. It's going to extend to them. They are going to benefit from it. They start getting it right. Do you understand? But because now you are not doing anything, you are not getting it right. Those people too, they are not getting it right. It's like they are stuck. Their blessings is somewhere, except they are able to break through on their own. Now, I tell you something. Reason why this man is talking like that, you feel insulted. You know, this is what you are going to get. It's just one out of millions. In terms of education, Nigeria is not leading, because they say we are the giant of Africa. How are we the giant of Africa when we are not leading in this area that I'm going to mention? How are we leading? It's a joke. We are only leading in terms of population, and that population is supposed to be our pride. We have a lot to do with the population, and we are so talented, intelligent, and otherwise everything you could think of. We have everything. Us, we are in for the whole Africa country. They know us. We are smarter than every other Africa. Nigeria is smarter than every other Africa country you could think of. We are the smartest. We are the most intelligent people among, if not, we are not number one in terms of intelligence, illiteracy. No. But let me tell you, in terms of education ranking in Africa, education ranking in Africa, we are nowhere to be found. Number one, who top the list is Seychelles. That small country, Seychelles. They top the list. Even Seychelles is globally, I think they have about 96% literacy rate in their country. Globally, they are ranking 50. Globally, Seychelles, followed by South Africa in terms of, followed by Tunisia, Mauritius. Yeah, if you count South Africa safe. Do you understand? That's education ranking. We are nowhere to be found. Now, in terms of healthcare, hey, don't forget about it. We are nowhere to be found. South Africa is number one. South Africa top the list. In terms of healthcare in Africa, South Africa top the list. In terms of technology, technology. In terms of technology, Kenya top the list. Then South Africa again. Before you pick another country, because technology in Africa, it varies depending on the metrics you are going to use to pick the countries during the war. Kenya top the list, followed by South Africa, before you can pick another country. At least we have number one, Kenya, we have number two, South Africa. Do you understand? So now these are the three major areas you used to like let's say in terms of HDI, Human Development Index. This is what you use to measure development in every countries, right? So we are nowhere to be found. We are not leading. But guess what? We have where we are leading. In terms of household consumption of generator, Nigeria top the list. And this is the reason why we are not doing well. Is the country is killing our dreams, because we don't have electricity. Even if you see we the youth, people are struggling to come up with different technology, different things, but there's no electricity to do. There are no fundings, there are no support from the government. Do you understand? There are no support from the government. Killing our dreams, young talented people. Now before you know, the issue of Japa syndrome. Because when you see what you do, and the day you travel out of your country, that your dream is like your dream is dead, because it's not very easy to succeed over there. The technology, the products you want to do is not easy. Your always to focus on your job, go to work, come back, go to work, come back. It's not even easy to do business. Before you started doing business, serious, you know the level where you are in the country. Do you understand? So where are we doing well? When you see this man talking like that, that is it. Now borrowing money for no reason. What are we doing with the money? We don't have good roads. We don't have the best roads in Africa. We are not topping the list in terms of education. We are not leading in terms of healthcare. We are not leading. Technology, we are not leading. So what are we doing? We are joking. We are joking. That's why you see not South Africa, China, they are 2 billion, the most lost country in the world. 2 billion plus population. But guess what? China does not depend on importation from other countries. Rather, other countries import from China. I listened to one man analysis then when he said the reason why China is so productive, when it comes to, they just give it to them, that government gave them, I think in the 60s or 70s, each household were entitled to produce one product, each household. Then when you come up with a product, government will support you. That's why they are doing. You see, everywhere you go, see technology, they're always coming up with different things, different that. The idea is there. They get support from the government. We are talented. We have what it takes to change the country, to be number one in Africa in terms of everything. But our leaders, we don't have leaders, we have dealers who are dealing our dreams, killing our dreams. That's the problem we have in this country. Reasons why we are not moving forward. Now, we are importing generator from all over. Nigeria top the list in terms of household consumption of generator. We top the list. Anyways, I just hope one day we are able to get it right. All these problems, these things you see that are not working today, we are not getting it right. Do you know why? Because of leadership, bad leadership. The day you get your leadership right in your country, the day everything starts falling in place, the day we start getting it right. The problem is we've never had a good leader with vision. All we had is visionless who just come to make money for themselves and his family, not thinking about others, killing the dreams of others. That's all. Anyways, what do you think? Please share this video and please subscribe for more. Subscribe, like, share, comment, subscribe so that you get to see updates like this.